What is up, guys? James here from the Light of Riga YouTube channel, and in this video we're going to be doing a review and flip through for the Earth Magic Oracle card deck. This deck is brought to us by Stephen D. Farmer, and as you can imagine, it's an Earth-based deck, and this is a very, I wouldn't say it's an incredibly unique idea, but it's done exceptionally well. And I've got to say that this deck has given me so many deep messages that have just been very focused and accurate. And so as far as accuracy and depth of healing contained, this deck goes deep. Okay, so first let's talk about the container, the box. I usually talk about the box because it's part of what you're buying, and this is a pretty sturdy box. It's pretty standard. I mean, nothing too fancy. You could use it to take your cards around in, but it wouldn't be the best idea. So yeah, it's a pretty standard box, pretty nice, what you would expect from an Oracle deck, and it's good for long-term storage if for whatever reason you're not going to use it. So A+ on the box. Let's take a look at the booklet here. It's a pretty substantial booklet. It's a little bit more than your little white book, and it's got all sorts of things here. It's got a table of contents. You know what? I never even realized that. Whoa! I just learned something new, and this would have helped me immensely. And you know, it's got pretty much your standard fare as far as Oracle decks. It's got a few little spreads that you can use. If you want to read more in depth, I guess you could pause it. And then it goes into the cards, and each of the cards has a little bit of kind of a backstory of what you're looking at, and then it goes into the healing aspects, what it means for your healing. So I do feel as though that this booklet does give a lot of information as far as what the card means. You're not like on your own here as far as interpreting the cards. Again, you can pause it if you want to read more in depth. So the book will help you. The book that will definitely help you. So I would recommend this book, definitely. It's you feel like you're getting your money's worth. A little bit about the author as well. So very cool. I was gonna criticize it because the cards aren't numbered, and when you're trying to look up what card meaning you are trying to find, it's really very difficult to find it. But now that I know that there's a table of contents here, that makes things a lot easier. Cool. Booklets and box. Let's take a look at the cards here. Before we go into the flip through, I just want to state that this deck has been modified. I I edged the edges black. I think I need to go around again. Maybe do another coat. But yeah, it's modified, so this is not exactly the deck that you're going to get, but pretty much the same. The backs are pretty cool. It's got this is one of the cards actually. It's got a tree, and you can see how far the roots, the roots go into the earth, but they're also reflected. It's cool. I don't know. I like it a lot. So let's get into the flip through, and I'll talk more about this deck. All right. The card stock is kind of flimsy. This is a highly glossed card. It's very shiny, so know that going in. The card stock is kind of thin, and so it doesn't feel like it can hold a lot of abuse. So don't abuse it, please. Okay. But as far as what I think about this deck, I really enjoy it. Now, the imagery here is kind of passable. I wouldn't say it takes your breath away. I wouldn't say that it's not very good. I would say that it gets the job done. So for me personally, I'm not blown away by the artwork. I think the strength of this deck is in the messages that it conveys. It uses elements of the earth to bring healing to our human physicality, to our human life. And what I mean by that is each card has a title and then sort of like a subtitle. For instance, here we have crystals, and we see a cave of crystals, and the subtitle is focus. So you know that this card is bringing healing. It wants you to focus your healing intention. It wants you to focus in a narrow band, a narrow perspective, and it wants you to really do one thing well, right? You see how the messages can come through pretty accurately, and some of these images are very beautiful. I'm not trying to discount the images. It's just they're not like breathtaking, right? They won't take your breath away. And Sometimes I find that I don't like the gloss as much. I think the glossiness kind of takes away from the images. But it's to each their own. So there are some drawbacks to this deck, but the pros outweigh the cons in my opinion, because these messages are so clear and so accurate. If you ask the question, where do I need healing? And you get New Moon Promise, that means it's probably time for you to set your intentions, to count your blessings, and to figure out where you want to go next, because the future is full of promise and full of hope. So you can see just how easily these messages come through. And you know what? It doesn't take a lot of intuitive ability to read this deck. Just like logic, almost. You could read this deck with logic. You think of wind, you think of movement, you think of change, you think of activation, creating new change. And so all you have to know is about the earth, really. Fog, veiled, things are obscured, right? You can't see clearly. And it's just really clever. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's very clever in the way that it uses earth elements to bring healing. I should say, I forgot to mention that these images are a curation. They're not all from the same illustrator. Some of them are computer generated, some of them are hand drawn. So it does feel a little bit strange seeing different types of images as you use the same deck. So that is another thing that kind of throws me off a little bit. But it's not overly. It's not a game breaker. You know what I mean? It doesn't ruin the experience, because again, these messages are so clear. Mountain represents strength. It's like endurance, right? The mountains have been there for eons, and they're not going anywhere. In order to move a mountain, you'd have to develop some sort of new technology, So it's like having strong roots. It's about being powerful, and you can just see how much healing is in these cards. I feel like Desert Vision Quest, right? And if for whatever reason the message doesn't come through clearly, then you have the book to fall back on, and the book is actually very exceptional. It does explain this card in great detail, and offers you ways to understand both your own healing and how the earth is helping to heal you. So it's very cool. There are some human elements, of course. Humans are part of the earth, as are the flora and the fauna. So it's all aspects of the earth coming together to create healing in this deck. And I really, really like it. So look at lake and stillness. Some of the images, I gotta say, are pretty nice. Others are just like ho hum. I guess that's what happens when you use multiple artists. It's just the way it's gonna go. Some stand out, some not so much, and some are just pictures. So I would definitely recommend this deck for any beginner, intermediate, or advanced Oracle deck reader. This is probably a must-have deck, I would say. Yes, there's some drawbacks. Yes, there's some things that could have been done better. I agree with that. But overall, the messages here are just so easy to understand, because we've been living on Earth our whole life, and we understand the Earth. And the way that this deck bridges the gap between the Earth and ourselves is just amazing. It's fantastic. It's very intelligent. It's also very intuitive, and it's also full of healing. And it helps you to understand both yourself and the world in a much clearer way. Right? For instance, if you get this card, even a whale who can spend most of its life deep into the ocean needs to come up for a breath sometime. It needs to come up and take a breath and rest a little bit before it can go deep again. And it's not going to be able to go very deep if it doesn't have that little break from time to time. So you can see how that applies to your life, right? Where you can go deep into whatever you want to go deep into, but you're going to need to come up for air once in a while to regroup, to reassess, and to go back out there. So, I can't stress the fact enough. This is the card that's on the back. I can't stress the fact enough that this is one of my favorite Oracle decks. It could have been done better, but just the cleverness of how the Earth can heal us is just, it's amazing. So, highly recommend this deck to anyone who wants to bring healing to their life, anyone who's connected to the Earth in any way. The Earth Magic Oracle is going to be a beautiful deck for you. to do that. So that is going to be my review. I hope you got something out of that. I hope that made sense. And if you did enjoy that video, please leave a like. It lets me know that you enjoyed it, got something out of it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to say about this deck, if you've got this deck and you want to chime in with your 2 cents, put those in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And please hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the videos I release, from these deck reviews to weekly readings to monthly readings to bi-monthly readings. You don't want to miss out on anything. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. Thank you. Alright guys, that is the Earth Magic Oracle. A very healing, a very easy to pick up and use, very understandable deck that I think should be in every Oracle reader's collection. So that is the Earth Magic Oracle by Stephen D. Farmer. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like if you did. Happy taroting. Peace.